రన్ వచ్చినప్పుడు బేర్ మార్కెట్ ఉన్నప్పుడు ఫియర్ ఉంటుంది. సో వీటిని యాజ్ అన్ ఇన్వెస్టర్, ఎర్లీ స్టేజ్ ఇన్వెస్టర్ ఎట్లా ఓవర్కమ్ చేయొచ్చు?
Key things where people needs to be aware of and how actually they shape up their decisions.
But at the same time it created a misinformation as well.
It is the perception of that day how you are felt.
బట్ అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఎక్స్టర్నల్ పుష్ ఉంటుంది కదా, పేరెంట్స్ నుంచి కానీ ఫ్యామిలీస్ నుంచి కానీ.
In the long run, what it yields is something most of the investors or most of the players don't realize it.
ఎగ్జాంపుల్ హైదరాబాద్ కానీ బెంగళూరు కానీ. సో దాన్ని ఎట్లా ఓవర్కమ్ చేయగలరు?
Starve today for a better tomorrow or live today for a worse tomorrow.
వెన్ వీ స్టార్ట్ అర్నింగ్, మన కోసం మనం అర్న్ చేసి మనం స్పెండ్ చేయడం కన్నా పక్కల కోసం అర్న్ చేసి వాళ్ళని ఇంప్రెస్ చేయడం చేస్తాం.
These are some key things. When you sit with your financial planner, most of the times he tends to draw your entire financial plan to goal setting.
When it comes to investing, we all knew that our psychology play a huge role.
People fall for external validation. Definitely, my thought is external validation is something which is not required. Or if you're falling for an external validation, then you are tending to lose your control.
When it comes to wealth creation, the most important factor is to consider taking advice from the certified wealth manager. So today we have Mr. Pradeep Kumar Maduri, who has 18 years of experience in wealth management and financial planning, and currently he is a vice president at Centrum Wealth, Hyderabad. So let's welcome him to our podcast, Fire Talks with Surya. Hi Pradeep Garu, thank you very much for coming to our podcast, Fire Talks with Surya, and we are pleased to invite you. I'd like to get a quick introduction about you and your experience so far on wealth management and personal finance.
Thanks, Surya, for inviting to your podcast. I look forward for an interesting conversation ahead. So, a quick brief intro about my profile. So, I am there in this industry for almost 18 years as of now.
Yeah.
And I am a certified financial planner and a certified private wealth manager. So I have a wide variety of exposure in all the financial industry products and dealing with varied set of clientele, from small to the complex.
Yeah, sounds good. So when it comes to personal finance, most of the people started learning more about this, especially post COVID, thanks to COVID. So we do have primarily two types of markets. One is public markets like stocks, mutual funds and bonds, and private markets as well. So when it comes to investing, we all knew that our psychology play a huge role. Example, bull run వచ్చినప్పుడు మనం ఎక్కువ గ్రీడ్ ఉంటుంది మనకి, అండ్ బేర్ మార్కెట్ ఉన్నప్పుడు ఫియర్ ఉంటుంది. సో వీటిని యాజ్ అన్ ఇన్వెస్టర్, ఎర్లీ స్టేజ్ ఇన్వెస్టర్ ఎట్లా ఓవర్కమ్ చేయొచ్చండి?
So in fact, you only said thanks to COVID. I'll also say thanks to Reliance Jio, because it is the data which made us effectively utilize the internet during that period. And it is because of this reason, at least today, you have a set of maturity or a kind of awareness which has been created. So in that context, as you rightly pointed, that these are the emotions during different times of market. During bull run you have a different emotion, during bear run you have a different emotion. So mindset is a key critical part in personal finance. These both are actually intertwined. So if I would like to give you an example, most of the people follow with the recency bias, which is a common across the most of the people which you would have looked at. So what is this recency bias? So most of the times whenever you ask someone, where have you invested recently? So there was something which was displaying on the screen which has displayed a 100% return or a 60% return or a 40% return, whatever it might be the number. So but we have done a research from our end which indicated that this year's top performing fund, there is a 70% probability that it will not be among the list.
Okay.
And it is equally applicable to any asset as well. Like you see, one year small cap will be on the top, in another year large cap will be on the top, in another year real estate will be on the top, in another year gold will be the top. So typically mindset is key critical in the way you manage. And there are some key things where people needs to be aware of, and how actually they shape up their decisions. If you look at someone who has been in a fear kind of a bias, or basic his exposure, how he has been into, or his experience has been into. Suppose he has experienced a loss in one of his earlier investments, then he tends to become more conservative. And whatever he takes decision, he always looks at protecting his capital rather than taking a risk adjusted level of decisioning. In the similar way, it also functions in greed and overconfidence, if you see. So someone might be successful in one of his investment decision, and he feels that I have made a good decision, and so let me certify my decision making, and then he does in the similar pattern. So, and it also goes by as such that if someone has a windfall, so then he tends to become supreme, and he makes decisions based on the surplus, not on his actual understanding. So it is FOMO which plays, it is windfall which plays, it is surplus. So I feel mindset is very integral part of any personal finance decision.
So, but when it comes to taking the right decision on investments, be it personal investments or maybe పబ్లిక్ మార్కెట్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్స్, మనం చాలామందికి ఎట్లా ఉంటుందంటే ఎవరో ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేశారు, అలా లెట్స్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మా బ్రదర్, లైక్ మా ఫ్రెండ్, నా కొలీగ్ ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేశారు, సో ఐ షుడ్ ఆల్సో లుక్ ఇన్ టు దాట్ అండ్ స్టార్ట్ ఇన్వెస్టింగ్ ఇన్ ఇట్. బట్ మనకు అందరికీ తెలుసు వన్ సైజ్ నాట్ ఫిట్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ వన్, రైట్? సో బట్ ఇట్స్ ఆల్సో మిత్, ఫిట్ అవ్వదు చాలామందికి. సో యాజ్ అన్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్, హౌ డు యూ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ సజెస్ట్ to our investors to take a right decision, or maybe a conscious decision rather than purely depending on third party decision?
You have made a very valid questioning as such. So this is the typical mentality, because we grew up that way. And there is a saying, I hope you are also aware, we do become whom we have coffee with. Correct. So if my friend has purchased this, let me also purchase this. We are tending to lean in a herd bias, or an anchoring bias, or a confirming kind of a bias. So we follow people. So, but it also happens most of the time, the entries and the profits are spoken. The exits and the loss is never revealed. So, which is again an integral part of your wealth creation for yourself. So I say you are brought up, your style has to be for you. So each is a tailor-made solution. It is not a one size fit for all. So you will have to take a financial advisor help, or a financial planner, or whichever whom you feel is of your person who can give you candid solutions. So I don't believe in one size fits for all. That is my opinion, because each situation is different, the way you brought up is different, and you will have to be conscious of those situations. And family sizes are different. That's another important. Today, there was an era where people used to live in joint families. The financial conditioning investment has to happen through all people approvals. Correct. Today we are living in a nuclear family approach. The decisioning is completely different. The requirement of your needs and where you stay, which part of the city also makes a difference. Where whether you are staying in urban, whether you are staying in rural, what is the cost of living, what is the cost of time that you spend on your respective profile, all these make a important choice.
So obviously you made a really good point, unbiased suggestions from experts, or certified experts in that case. And but pre-COVID or kind of COVID times, what happened in India also, we've seen so many platforms came in this market, especially on talking about finance, personal finance, and we've seen the boom of Finfluencers. They become influencers in finance, And it definitely impacted. Obviously it helped us to push forward a little bit of finance side literacy, but at the same time it created a misinformation as well. So we've seen that even SEBI initiated certain regulations and rules for these influencers on platforms like YouTube and Instagram. But as an investor, how do I like differentiate myself that okay, he is the right one or she is the right one to take a right decision, or can I just listen and take a decision rather listening that same decision from the certified expert who they're not in media, they're not in social or maybe YouTube, but I really don't know, I don't know them. But so how can I take that right decision by depending on either unverified influencers or influencers, or licensed or certified financial advisors?
So, you have made a very valid integration of this, like social media,
Yeah.
or I will say any habit,
Mm.
whether it is in the form of any personal habit as such.
Yeah.
How, to what extent you have to be exposed,
Mm.
and what is the right way which you need to take that input
Mm.
is equally important.
Mm.
Like social media has helped in creating an awareness, but at the same time we also come across some influencers claiming trade in futures and options, which is the highest risk in the order of the risk pyramid, which states that I'll deliver 10% monthly return and then jump in into that bandwagon.
Yeah.
So people with middle income, India is known for a lot of middle income population, and so they all fall prey for get rich quickly. So when they fall for this prey of get rich quickly of high return, so they enter into an untested water. So this untested water lands them into deep soup of their complete personal finance which they have done. So I have come across many such examples in my career span. So as you said, going by a fin influencer, that I would enter into this market, and because his friends have also started, so he has started entering into the same. What did it happen? So finally he ended up with a big significant loss amount, so which made him lose his hard-earned saving.
Correct.
To get out of that mess,
Yeah. Yeah.
he approached us, and it took at least 3 years to clean that mess
Yeah. Okay.
and come back to a surplus kind of a saving.
Savings. So even recently, especially last 1 week or 2 weeks, I think SEBI also given a notice to one SME IPO, which was
Yes.
backed by so-called Finfluencers. What's your thoughts on that?
See, this is another space where not only influencers, there is a entire system working on it, on the back of it, to create a format of showcasing an unbelievable return in a short span of time. So you just have to think something which is too good to be true in a short span of time. Your
Too good to be true means we have to be cautious.
your eyeballs should rise.
Yeah.
So please do your due diligence, and then you find value in the company. You find value in the opportunity of the business they are working. You consult the respective industry experts who are already there. SEBI, thanks to our regulator SEBI,
Yeah.
they are the proactive regulator where they enter into all the spaces whichever a financial industry is operating. And they are more proactive than a client or than a manufacturer or than a distributor. And in fact, they are always in the client interest.
Yeah.
They want to protect client first, rather than entire ecosystem, whoever is involved.
Yeah.
So I feel follow the guidelines laid by SEBI, consult your experts or financial advisors whom you work with, and before you make a decision
Yeah.
on anything which comes across to you, do your research and take a multiple consultation of that, so that whether you are entering into right thing or bad thing is something which.
Okay. So, but when it comes to these consultations, again, SEBI also given good certifications to certain consultants, and there are uncertified consultants as well. But నార్మల్ స్మాల్ సైజ్ ఆర్ మీడియం సైజ్ ఇన్వెస్టర్స్కి చాలామందికి తెలియదు అసలు వాళ్ళ ఫీ స్ట్రక్చర్స్ ఎట్లా ఉంటాయి, ఎట్లా రీచ్ అవ్వాలి, రీచ్ అయిన తర్వాత అగైన్ అది బయస్డ్ అడ్వైజా అన్బయస్డ్ అడ్వైజా, నార్మల్ అగైన్ యాజ్ ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ అడిగినట్టు ఇది సైకాలజీ రిలేటెడ్ కదా. సో ఎట్లా ఇన్వెస్టర్ ఓవర్కమ్ చేయొచ్చు దీన్ని?
యాక్చువల్గా మీరు చూస్తే ఏంటంటే ఇప్పుడు మార్కెట్లో రెగ్యులేటర్స్ ఎంత అవేర్నెస్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాయంటే they are there across all the mediums. You name social media, you name radio, or you name it, video, digital campaign. So SEBI has categorized each person into different bracket. Like they said banker is known for this particular things, so anything in related to bank, get in touch with your own bank. Anything in related to mutual fund, you get in touch with a mutual fund distributor. So you want a more holistic approach, get in touch with a certified financial planner. You want something in the form of not taking any of this, who should be one stop for every aspect with a flat fee structure, get into an RIA approach. So with anyone whom you deal, it is the vibes which you need to check. What is that which he is speaking? You should question him when you interact with it. What is that he's bringing on the table, and what is that which he actually wants to create value in, and at the same time whatever he's giving you certain recommendation, does he have any facts backing it? And also look at if he's using so many jargons in his discussion, then that's a red flag. I feel so that's my because something, money is all about, I invest this much, how much will I get at the end of 1 year, at the end of 2 years, 3 years? You should be able to quantify and give a number. Along with, does he have any professional license? Did he clear any certifications of exams? Or what is that he has gone through to get to this stage to advise? These are some things which each individual has to keep in mind. And SEBI is proactively doing to regulate all the sets of people, like Finfluencers they are regulating, RAA they are regulating, MFDs they are regulating. You name anything in the market. Mutual funds they have regulated. You name anything in the market, the regulation is with an iron hand approach.
Got it. But at the same time, again, a question arises from this same question. Is these regulations over-regulated in India?
So, I think I can't comment exactly on the whether it is over-regulated, whether it is under-regulated, fairly regulated. Whenever a rule or a framework is formed, it is the perception of that day how you are felt. In the long run, what it yields is something most of the investors or most of the players don't realize it. Like you take the toughest of the reforms which have been made by our government, whether it is kind of a demonetization or whether it is in a GST implementation, or you take any reform. That day it was a tougher thing.
Definitely tough.
Everyone felt what is the need for it. We were surviving anyways, good for it. But today if you look at that, the same GST reform has solved many complexities. Today we are clocking 1.8 lakh crore monthly collections of GST. So the highest. So which is like an indication of how economy is growing, which is captured in economy. Earlier it was all not captured in economy. Earlier the circulation of cash was the highest portion. Today we have decreased to an extent, and thanks to UPI implementation, UPI has actually helped people to transact faster. So any regulation, whether it is from SEBI, whether it is from RBI, like there was a time where RBI has implemented cleaning of balance sheet, provisioning the bad debts time frame. So when it was implemented, all banks were in chaos, thinking that what is this? And this is definitely a painful factor. Yes, it went through certain stock corrections and all this, but in the long run, currently you see today our banks are at well poised situation.
So can we also see the same goal, yeah, same achievement in next couple of years for PAN 2.0. We heard that central government now planning to release PAN 2.0 for businesses, probably personal as well. So
See, they are going in right direction is what I feel. Trying to integrate one by one the entire ecosystem. So earlier Aadhaar was launched. Now PAN Aadhaar is linked. Now AIS is linked. So it's a series of steps which is leading to make inclusive every part of the economy. So if it is every part of the economy when it gets reflected, today from a 10th place of an economy where we were standing, we were there in the top 4, top 5. So that itself speaks a lot. And today you see how world is looking at India. This is because of all these reforms or all these changes which has happened. Is what I believe we are going in the right direction under the right leadership currently. And we hope to see much higher spirits in terms of the economy of India.
great. So come back to our previous questions on more on individual related questions, and obviously existing governments, especially central government, is taking up digital based decisions. We call it as India Stack, right? So but as a person they may not aware of it, like more comparatively businesses, they may aware of these technologies or the implementations or reforms. But think of a person who's earning a lakh or maybe less than a lakh, they were busy with their jobs, and they would have do some sort of initial or early stage investment mistakes, by listening friends or family or whatever. But and they would have come up with the certain financial habits, right? So how can we take those as an experimental decisions, and then consider those and build ourselves for further major decisions, especially after marriage, the kids, the family, all these expenses. How would you think taking these early experiences for the future purpose?
So for any individual, the personal finance starts at home. And it is what we see by our mothers saving money in kitchen for either for their son's excursion or for a rainy day where you don't have enough surplus. అప్పుడు మనకు ఆ కిచెన్లో ఉన్న డబ్బులే అవసరాలు పడతాయి. సో దట్స్ ఎ సేవింగ్ హ్యాబిట్ థ్యాంక్స్ టు అవర్ కల్చర్ విచ్ హెస్ got brought up. So those are some experiences which people start with. And at the time of your starting, it again goes based on your need and how you are brought up. Like someone who has started with a salary, for one person he is left with a higher surplus. So when he is left with a higher surplus and a younger age, so he has an option to invest. So he chooses an investing in an equity or different forms of investing. For someone who has brought up in a kind of survival mode, it was more of a hand to mouth kind of a situation, then he would have taken education loan to complete his studies. So for him the priority is to create an education loan. So and similar is the stage in each stage of life. So according to the stage of your life where you are there, understand the status quo, speak to your financial planner, and then chalk down your plan, what you want to achieve for your goals, whether it is for marriage, whether it is for retirement, whether it is for children education, whether it is for whatever you wish to achieve in your bucket list. So you will have to carve a path.
బట్ అగైన్ మనకి నార్మల్గానే డిసిప్లిన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది, వర్క్ రిలేటెడ్ కానీ లేకపోతే పిల్లల్ని చదివించే దగ్గర కానీ ఫ్యామిలీని ప్లాన్ అవుట్ చేయటం కానీ. బట్ ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ స్పేస్కి వచ్చేసరికి అగైన్ మార్కెట్స్ని బట్టో లేదా సజెషన్స్ బట్టో మనకు పెద్ద ఎక్కువ స్ట్రాంగ్ డిసిప్లిన్ ఉండకపోవచ్చు, అండ్ లాంగ్ టర్మ్ థింకింగ్ కూడా ఉండకపోవచ్చు సమ్ టైమ్స్, రైట్? క్విక్ డెసిషన్స్ తీసేసుకుంటాం. సో డూ యూ థింక్ దట్ దీస్ డిసిప్లిన్స్ ప్లే అ మేజర్ రోల్ ఇన్ అ లాంగ్ టర్మ్?
నేను మీకు ఎలా చెప్పాలి అంటే డిసిప్లిన్ ఈజ్ ద కీ క్రక్స్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. In your upbringing, in your anything whichever you do. Show me one person whoever has followed discipline and failed. You will not come across such examples. So whether you want to excel in your career, whether you want to excel in your personal finance, whether you want to have a beautiful personal life, discipline is the key crux for everything to have. సో దానికి ఒక థాట్ ప్రాసెస్ పెట్టుకోవాలి. మీరు ఒక స్టెప్స్ ఫాలో అవ్వండి. మీ కరెంట్ స్టేటస్ నేను అన్నాను, సిట్ డౌన్ విత్ ఎ ఫినాన్షియల్ అడ్వైజర్. వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ యు ఆర్ దేర్, వేర్ ఆర్ యూ, దానికి ఒక బడ్జెట్ పెట్టుకోండి. వాట్ ఈస్ ద బడ్జెట్ దట్ యూ వాంట్ టు స్పెండ్ ఫర్. అండ్ ఆల్సో ఆటోమేట్. మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద టైమ్స్ పీపుల్ లోన్ తీసుకొని ఈఎంఐకి భయపడతారు కానీ సేవింగ్స్కి భయపడరు. సో ఐ సే ఆటోమేట్ బోత్. అటు డెట్ ఎలా ఆటోమేట్ అయింది, వాళ్ళ స్టాండింగ్ ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్, దే ఆర్ టేకింగ్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ దేర్ సేఫ్టీ. So you should also automate savings by giving standing instructions. So standing instructions are there as it is, but you should ensure that amount is also there in the bank. So when you automate, then it actually helps you in terms of having a right approach. And don't go increase your means in terms of accumulating new debt.
Okay.
Keep checking your debt and be patient. These are some key things. When you sit with your financial planner, most of the times he tends to draw your entire financial plan to goal setting. So that is a key crux for anyone to first get into the stage. After understanding the cash flow, he moves into the goal setting.
But think of like a person who's earning 50,000-60,000 rupees at initial stage of a job, younger age, and lot of banks వచ్చి లోన్స్ ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తాయి. కామన్గా తీసుకునే డెసిషన్, సరే లాట్ ఆఫ్ లోన్ వస్తుంది కదా, సో ఐ ఎలిజిబుల్ ఫర్ మోర్ లోన్ దెన్ ఎక్స్పెక్టెడ్, సో టేక్ దట్ లోన్ అండ్ ట్రై టు ఇన్వెస్ట్ ఇన్ సార్ట్ ఆఫ్ రెసిడెన్షియల్ ఆర్ సార్ట్ ఆఫ్ అపార్ట్మెంట్స్. అవసరం అవసరం లేకపోయినా, మేబీ దెర్ ఈస్ అ నీడ్ ఆర్ దేర్ మైట్ నాట్ బి అ నీడ్ ఆల్సో, ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేసేయడానికి రెడీ అయిపోతారు అనమాట. సో అది కూడా లాంగ్ టర్మ్ ఉంటుంది, లైక్ 20 years 24 years, బట్ అది చూడం హొరైజన్, ఎందుకంటే జాబ్ ఉంది, సేఫ్, కట్టేయగలుగుతాం అనే ఒక డెసిషన్ ఉంటుంది. సో ఇస్ దట్ ద రైట్ డెసిషన్ అట్ వెరీ ఎర్లీ స్టేజ్లో?
Thanks to our ecosystem of giving easy credit with the fintechs which have come in. So with this, it is again a double-edged sword. So it is your control which actually helps you. So by taking a loan and investing in something, there is a people who lure you in that particular format, but it is you who should understand. Say suppose you are borrowing at certain X percentage, you are borrowing something of a personal loan or from a credit card at 10%, and you are investing in an asset class which is delivering a return of 15% and above. So which is the 5% is the alpha. But people see only the 5%, but they also don't capture their inflation part. So at the end, by the time they realize the actual realizable value, they don't see that much value. They have tied themselves into debt, but at the same time when they are taking their realizable value, it is not to what they have expected in the initial days. So it has its own, so you will have to do your due diligence and what is the affordability of that particular EMI which you are doing. Rather than, see, I think rather than feeling on instant gratification of making a choice of investing and then taking pride of it, invest and then take a better choice at a later stage in time, so that you are not balancing both the aspects.
బట్ అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఎక్స్టర్నల్ పుష్ ఉంటుంది కదా, పేరెంట్స్ నుంచి కానీ ఫ్యామిలీస్ నుంచి కానీ. అంటే సో జాబ్ లైక్ 1 lakh జాబ్ అవగానే ఆబ్వియస్లీ మీకు ఇల్లు ఇంకా ఎందుకు లేదు, ఫ్లాట్ ఎందుకు లేదు, ఎగ్జాంపుల్ హైదరాబాద్ కానీ బెంగళూరు కానీ. సో దాన్ని ఎట్లా ఓవర్కమ్ చేయగలుగుతాం?
So these are like what I call is success formulas feeded into our brain from our childhood. Till the time you complete an education, this is something which you need to go. And as soon as you have completed education, you should have got placed in a company. And after getting placed in a company, in next 2 years you should purchase a car. And then in next 3 years you should purchase a home. So these are formulas embedded in our brain over a period. You can't overcome straight away, but you will have to think through as a planned approach, take a help of a mentor and advisor, and then do that.
So I do recently came across this difference. Again, I really don't want to differentiate these states, but comparatively నార్త్తో పోల్చుకుంటే సౌత్ స్టేట్స్ మీరు అన్న దానికి ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది, యూనో క్లోజ్గా ఉంటుంది. అంటే ఆబ్వియస్లీ ఇల్లు, కారు, యూనో క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్స్ అండ్ దెన్ ఫ్యామిలీ, రైట్? సో బట్ వెన్ ఇట్ కమ్స్ టు దిస్ వన్, మనం మోస్ట్లీ ఒక ప్రైమరీ ఇన్కమ్ మీద డిపెండ్ అయిపోతాం, లైక్ ప్రైమరీ శాలరీ. But when it comes to north side, so they might have 3 to 4 revenue sources than just one, which is basically salary, be it investing in different asset classes, or be it passive income, be it maybe a property, or be it maybe a small business while they're doing their work. So ఆ డిఫరెన్స్ సౌత్ ఇండియన్స్కి ఎందుకు అంత లేదు? ఎక్కువగా ఒకే శాలరీ, ఒకటే ఉంటుంది ఇన్కమ్, బట్ మల్టిపుల్ ఎక్స్పెన్సెస్ ఉంటాయి మనకి. సో ఆ కల్చరల్ డిఫరెన్స్ ఎట్లా ఓవర్కమ్ చేయగలగచ్చు?
See, it is based upon the approach of how you have been brought up. So let us not differentiate between north or south, because in south also you have people who have multiple streams of income. Because in south also people would have invested in a business, in a real estate rental yield, in a financial systematic withdrawal. So you have all these approaches available in this side also. But to the extent of what you are exposed with is something which you need. Always having an additional earning is better. And you would have come across most of the times where Warren Buffett says that your money should work for you. You should not work for money. So your decisioning when you get money plays a critical role of how you make your money work for you.
ఫైనాన్షియల్ ప్లానింగ్ అనేది ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి పర్సనల్, బట్ ఎట్ ద సేమ్ టైం మనం ఫైనాన్షియల్ ప్లానింగ్ చేసినప్పుడు డిసిప్లిన్ కూడా సమ్ టైమ్స్ ఎక్కువ అవుతుంది. అండ్ యాజ్ అ అడ్వైజర్, హౌ డు యూ provide a balance between, or how do you suggest a balance between personal life of current and future while comparing with a discipline of a financial strategy?
So this is definitely a key thing which most of the individuals face. And it is more confusing as well. It is like starve today for a better tomorrow, or live today for a worse tomorrow. So it's a tricky situation. So you will have to follow some self exercises so that you can be better off in that particular case. Like you will have to self control. That is an important aspect. Goal setting, as I said, which is an important aspect. Goal setting is for future. Self control is for present. Smart goals. When you set goals, you should also set something which is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. It cannot be an unrealistic expectation. You earn 10,000 and you want 1 crore in next 3 years. So, which is definitely an unrealistic thing. And at the same time, once you have done this, do a regular review of it. How do you do regular review of whatever you have done? Take the help of technology by putting in whatever you have done in terms of spreadsheet, or there are tools which can help you in terms of doing that, budgeting, or in terms of whatever is available in the technical tools, try to utilize for your advantage of tracking it, which actually helps you in terms of evolved manner of managing your personal finance. At the same time, you should be updated with whatever is happening in the market. So this situation can only be balanced by having a proper financial plan. So whenever we say financial plan, most of the times what we come across with the common misconceptions is people think financial planning is for wealthy. People think I'm too young to do a financial plan. People think let me get a crore and then I'll start a financial plan. And people think I'm already doing investing, so what is the difference between investing and financial planning? So financial planning not only covers of the current, it covers of the past, it covers of the current, it covers of the future. So it's a more of a holistic tool which helps you in terms of making your life in a architectural manner. You prepare a plan for your building when you construct. In the same way, financial plan helps you in the similar manner to curate your future aspirations, and at the same time living happy now also, because that is something which people should also think. So in the process, you should put yourself into certain key questions. What are these key questions? What's important to you about your money? That is something which you will have to think. At the same time, what goals you are setting, do you think is it really required or is it not required? At the same time, you should also think what could be your financial concerns. You are currently running in a debt and you want to set up a business after 6 months. How will you do it? You are currently not in a status.
How can we forecast?
How can we forecast? So you should be able to do this in terms of effectively thinking on all these questions and then move ahead in terms of what is required. Like I give an advice in the form of budget. Set aside money for yourself first of all. Self-care, as I said, self-control and self-care is more important. And make sure you're not going into debt heavily. At the same time, don't neglect your savings. Prioritize. Match your spending with your priorities. Like to travel to a destination, you have various ways to reach a destination.
Yearly plan.
If you want to travel by flight, plan it early so that you're saving on your pricing of the flight cost. Go according to your budget. Don't do overspending is what I'll say. At the same time, reward yourself. What is rewarding yourself? You should also be feeling happy to continue your life, right? So when you have achieved some success in whichever sphere, whether it is by investing you have made some money, be happy about it and take whether how it has actually worked out for you. And in the similar manner, you have achieved some promotion in your personal life, professional life. Celebrate it. These are the moments which you need to do. Take care for yourself in terms of rewarding for yourself, so that it helps you raise your bar in terms of aspirations, and at the same time move ahead in the form of life. And there are things that everything doesn't fall as you plan, right? There are times you make mistakes. The sooner you accept a mistake, the better it is for you. And do not carry that mistake for longer period in time, because that becomes a baggage. And when it becomes a baggage, it doesn't allow you to flourish. So these are some things which I feel. And the other important thing is, in balancing the current and future, is live in your means.
But again, that's the issue, right? So normally when we start earning, మన కోసం మనం అర్న్ చేసి మనం స్పెండ్ చేయడం కన్నా పక్కల కోసం అర్న్ చేసి వాళ్ళని ఇంప్రెస్ చేయడం చేస్తాం. సో మోర్ లైక్ బిలో ఆర్ ఎక్స్పెక్టేషన్స్ బట్ ఫర్ ఎక్స్టర్నల్ పీపుల్. సో డిసిప్లిన్గా ఉండేవాళ్ళు ఖచ్చితంగా దే విల్ ట్రై టు సేవ్ అ లాట్. దే డోంట్ రియలీ బోదర్ అబౌట్ వాట్ ఆపోజిట్ పర్సన్ థింకింగ్ అబౌట్ హిమ్ ఆర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, బీట్ దేర్ డ్రెస్సింగ్, బీట్ దేర్ సెన్స్ ఆఫ్ స్పెండింగ్ దేర్ money on their life, right? So but it's definitely a very difficult one. అంటే చాలా తక్కువ మందికి ఆ సస్టైనబుల్ హ్యాబిట్ అనేది అలవాటు అవుతుంది, రైట్? సో హౌ కెన్ వీ లుక్ ఇన్ టు దాట్? లైక్ లెట్స్ థింక్ ఆఫ్ 10 పీపుల్లో ఒక పర్సన్కి మాత్రమే ఆ డిసిప్లిన్, ఆ సస్టైనబుల్ హ్యాబిట్ అనేది ఉంటుంది. రెస్ట్ 9 or 8 people might not even thought that this is the right way. No need to think too much on opposite person, rather think about their goals, their aspirations, and their basically a financial plan which they forecasted for next couple of years, right? So how do you suggest on that?
People fall for external validation. Definitely, my thought is external validation is something which is not required. Or if you're falling for an external validation, then you're tending to lose your control. And because you're trying to impress others. When you're trying to impress others, you overdo certain things which are not needed. So when you overdo certain things, your finance gets out of your place. So you tend to borrow, you tend to carry a debt, so which lands you up in a vicious debt cycle. And if things go fine, it that impressing others, what did it actually yield for you? So my suggestion is, if you actually learn to distinguish between your needs and wants, that actually helps you. And disciplined lifestyle tends to cut the rut. Cut the rut is impressing others, and you will actually enjoy a surplus budget.
More like preparing
Preparing.
metrics.
And you will actually use situations which will not come in your life. At least a crunch situation will not come if you follow approach, living in below means approach. And you will be able to enjoy current and at the same time build nest for your future. So that's what, rather than wholesome life, don't fall for showsome life. Which is more important? Do you want showstopper life or do you want wholesome life? So my sense is, having wholesome life is more important.
So again, HNS has certain discipline. Definitely, they have their own peers, their network, and comparatively retail investors. So, but retail investors ki major ga undedi endante comparisons of different assets versus this, that, kind of decision making, right? So వాళ్ళు అదొక ట్రాప్లోకి వెళ్తారు. సో ఐ కాల్ ఇట్ ఎస్ కంపారిజన్ ట్రాప్. సో ఆ ట్రాప్లో నుంచి ఒకవేళ బయటికి రావాలి అంటే, ఇట్స్ జస్ట్ లైక్ థింక్ ఆఫ్ లైక్ బీయింగ్ ఎ పర్సన్ హూస్ మేకింగ్ స్మాల్ ఎర్నింగ్స్, థింక్ లైక్ అన్ HNI by avoiding this comparison trap.
To answer this, you will have to understand where you stand today and understand your means, and also think like a HNI. By having what you can, by participate like a HNI, which actually helps you in making an alpha most of the times. And what does a HNI do? He does a thorough research, and he tends to tap something at a entry stage as compared to an inflated stage. He tends to explore in an asset class in an asset allocation manner rather than a skewedness manner. So these are good principles. Most of the time it is seen that people only come to an expert or after burning their fingers. So then they want us to course correct the situation. So HNIs have this guided approach by mentors, financial advisors. So from day one, because they know what they should not lose, and what is the loss which they are paying in terms of this professional approach. They actually deliver an alpha for them in terms of the asset allocation which they have done for themselves. That's something each individual has to start, irrespective of their current state. They might feel it is not needed, but how it helps is something which one should think at the broader lens. Penny wise, pound foolish.
So is there any particular red flags that I can look into it when it comes to financial advice, that I take it from advisors or friends or whoever? Do you also suggest how to verify it, or how to verify these suggestions?
The red flags from a financial advisor is something which he says out of the whack is the initial red flag. Something which he boasts himself too much
or biased,
then it's a red flag. And he's not allowing you to interact. He's talking
one-sided.
He's talking too much. And he doesn't have a strong substance, he's just running off. So these are key red flags which you need to look at. And for anything whichever he claims, seek evidence of it, take referrals of it. And if he's of certain credential oriented, there are platforms which give you that whether this particular person is a he really has a credential of it or not. Now, these are important. It is like when you want to visit a doctor. Recently, one of my boss was speaking. So he said, if you are supposed to visit a doctor, though he has an MD, DD, whatever degrees is there, he has just completed and has taken up a position. Will you go to him, or will you go to a person who is already at a 55 age, he has seen practical experience? Whom do you prefer?
Senior, obviously.
Why do you prefer?
Experience.
Experience. So that is where we ask.
The reputation.
Reputation, experience, because he has seen practical live examples. That is where we ask people to get in touch with a professional, because he not only makes money for you, he saves time for you, he saves effort for you, because his experience you can't take in your core profession, because you are involved in another core profession which is your core job, right? So that's where we tend to help in terms.
There is a very thin line on this also, right? Like, think of a person who's working for a software company, try to learn more about financial, which is good to learn, but at the same time, are they crossing certain limit to research more and take their own decision rather taking an advisory decision?
Okay. I put this question this way. Google, if you Google money, software person trying to do and learn, it is not a bad thing. You should learn and get educated in every sphere of life. Today you want to construct a house. Google gives, you require 1000 kgs of cement, you require this much sand, you require this much steel, these many materials, and you require this height of slab and this height of drawing also it will give you. Can you go and construct your home? Why? Google has given everything, right? You should be able to do it. So you go and interact with a civil engineer to understand where and what, how much portion should come in, so that you want to live a longer life in that particular house whichever you are constructing. Similar is the case where when you go to a doctor, you don't want to take a chance, right? So money is also in the similar manner. You should not take a chance. If you want to take a chance, but at what cost you are taking a chance? People only realize after making loss. Like, I'll give you a few examples with so much of, in the initial conversation also we quoted, Finfluencers promising F&O 10% return, and people jumping into crypto, people jumping into dark pattern of trading aspects, so many things. When they need money, of course SEBI has been very vocally saying that out of 10 investors, only 9 investors are losing in F&O. Only one person is making. That one person is institutional, who is guided by experts. So which only showcases people who have participated in crypto.
It's an official announcement.
They were not able to withdraw money out of their own savings, which they have done. And there is another thing which happened in the market. Some investors have highlighted to me. There is a web platform which states that wine bottles are under auction. In 1.5 months, you will get 200% return. They initially started with small amounts, but if you take this amount, you get 400% return. Small amount was returned. The bigger amount never came back. Website never worked. So, falling prey to the social media and going wrong, and at the same time later following the right way.
This was, in fact, this was recently happened for crypto world in India as well. So there was a company who busted very smartly. They did a great job. So again, people really don't know that, right? That the company can do that as a central exchange, but that was happened. So I think we made really good conversation so far, and thanks a lot for sharing your personal learnings and personal experiences, and especially on the psychology, the investor's point of a small investor or a medium investor. And so to our audience, could you suggest a few books or any materials that we would like to look into it?
See, please, the psychology is a key important, as the topic started with that. I recommend reading Psychology of Money. Is one book which actually helps you in making know about money. And there are various podcasts available in the market where you can actually think about it. And I also recommend this book, Richer, Wiser, Happier, where you tend to know how funds operate. What is that each fund manager does, the best of the fund managers. So, what is the thought process which goes into it, and varied market cycle, how things have to be done. So, I recommend these things to follow and be also aspiration at the same time balance the current.
Okay. So, what advice you can give it to us as a early stage investors? Maybe one or two examples.
For an early stage investor, the early you start investing, the better it is in terms of compounding. So be patient, don't fall for quick money back kind of thing. So because this plays a key critical role again. You would have heard, many people would have heard examples like Infosys, which who has made 10,000, today it is around 2.5 crores at an IPO time. Similarly, a Motilal company, Ramdev, made a 1 crore to 2,200 crore from 99 in 31 years. So these are the examples of compounding. How does it happen? The early you start, the better it is for you, and take a financial planning approach so that it calibrates your psychology issues in terms of confirming bias, in terms of anchoring bias, in terms of recency bias, or the biases are.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you very much, Pradeep Garu. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Surya. I hope I've been of value to your
Definitely,
podcast.
Andy. And
Thank you.